So what I've done is I've taken the initial ball of pie dough that we made and then refrigerated, and I've brought it out and I've divided it into two not quite equal parts. So, you know, the goal is to get a slightly larger portion of the dough for the bottom crust, because it is required to cover more surface area, and then a slightly smaller one for the top crust because that covers less surface area. So I've gotten this. I actually use a scale to do that. My mom just eyeballs it because, you know, she's Paisan master and I'm just human. But I recommend the scale if you are kind of new to pie or have problems eyeballing it. Now, I can see by working, what I've done is I've placed the half ball of pie dough onto parchment paper because I think that that is actually, it's easier to roll out and get a really thin, flaky crust if you work with parchment paper. And I can already see from pushing it out, I don't know if you can see in the camera, but there's spots that are a little wetter than others. That's normal. These like lighter spots, they're a little tackier. Where I see those spots, I actually just kind of hit it with a little flour all over because that's going to help with sticking. And then I'll probably turn that, check the other side. Yep, we've got some wettish spots on that side as well. What you're trying to do is to create, is to not allow the pie dough to really stick too hard to the parchment paper, because that will make it hard to get off. The other thing that's key is, you might notice while I was talking, I was kind of looking for cracks and closing them with my fingers. You don't have to do that. That's another mom trick. And what that does is your pie dough is less likely to crack when you're rolling it out if you kind of close the cracks in the beginning. So if I look at this one, there's some small cracks in here and there's a crack there. That actually concerns me. I keep a small bowl of water and I kind of close those using the water. So again, something mom taught me. If you use the water to kind of close the cracks, it actually really works. You have less problems when you roll it out. And then obviously you have to treat those areas with another flour dusting. Then I take another piece of parchment paper. Actually, I think I want to add just a touch more flour to that to prevent sticking. I take another piece of parchment paper and you can kind of start rolling it out. And I change direction of roll quite a bit, another mom trick, so that you don't get it all moving in kind of one direction and then you end up with this weird oblong thin crust that you can't really fit in to a pie pan. So you're kind of thinking about the shape of the pie pan and the size of the pie pan as you're rolling it out. You can see I kind of work a little bit at a time. Now the other key thing, this is something I learned the hard way, the key thing to do when you're working with parchment paper is periodically remove that paper. And see how some of these spots are becoming tacky? I just dust them with flour. So I remove the top one, then I take the parchment paper, kind of with the pie dough sandwiched in between, I flip it and I remove the bottom one because it could be sticking on the bottom piece of parchment paper, right? And I probably do this 3 or even 4 times throughout the rolling process just to make sure that I don't have that pie dough sticking anywhere on that parchment paper. See how I'm kind of dusting it with flour? Also, this gives me a chance to really feel the pie dough. I can see that, for example, it's thicker here, so I need to roll it out a little bit more there. And then I roll kind of on this side. This was the bottom before, and it's the top now. Again, keeping an eye on the size and shape of the dough. Definitely working more on this thicker edge that I found. Over here, I'm getting a little strange shape, so I'm kind of trying to work that out. And then usually, although I didn't have room in the camera today, but usually I have a pie plate kind of right next to me, and I'm measuring the size, I'm kind of eyeballing the pie crust versus the size of that pie plate, so I know when I've got it about right. Now I could tell that some of my pie dough was starting to stick, so I went ahead and added a little flour there. I can tell that this side is a little too thick, so I'm working on that. So this is the general idea when you're rolling it out. Work slowly, check it often for sticking, flip it when you need to, check it for thickness, check it for shape.